Hi guys. This is the second topic in Spring Boot series, which is controller versus REST controller. So let us all getting into this topic. So what exactly REST controller versus controller? So these two are the annotations actually. The first one is a REST controller. I can say it as it is annotation. So we just need to start with iterate. So iterate REST controller is equal to iterate controller plus iterate response body. So generally this REST controller is used to, this annotation is used to develop or build RESTful web services, or we simply call it as REST API. So if you just want to develop web services, so web services is nothing but to perform a specific task. Web service, or also called as web API, is used to exchange the data or to perform a specific task. So what are the different types of tasks we have? Specific task. So what are the different types of tasks we have? So we have add task, that means we call it as post request, and we can say like delete task, we call it as delete request, and we have view task, that means display, I can say display task, so we call it as get request, and last one is update task, so we call it as put request. So these are the four different types of tasks we have. Generally, every project contains like CRUD operations only, so CRUD, create, retrieve, update and delete. So I just want to highlight one point, that everyone knows that client will always send HTTP request, that means the request type is called as HTTP request, that means HTTP is called as hypertext protocol. If you want to send the data from sender to receiver or client to server, or one point to other point, we need some set of protocols and rules and regulations. So for that we need a protocol called as HTTP. We have different types set of protocol, network protocol, file transfer protocol. There are many protocols we have. So one of the important protocol is HTTP protocol. So client will send HTTP request to server, and whereas server will take that request and will process it accordingly, because the request is maybe add request or view request or display request or delete request, right? So that server will process the request, not server exactly, the code will process. So the code will be compiled by the server, so the request will be processed, and then it will send HTTP response to the client. Okay, now here is the one point. So whenever I just want to send a data from client to server, I need to use request body. So request body is something like input from client to server. And if I just want to display some message on the browser, then we will use response body, which is called as output. So what I'm saying is like REST controller is combined with two annotations. One is controller and response body. Sir, what is controller? You know already, controller is part of MVC architecture. So what is M? M is nothing but model, B is nothing but view, and C is nothing but controller. Okay, and we have other component called as friend controller. We'll talk about in the next topic. So we are not concentrating on MVC architecture now. I'm only telling what is controller. So controller is a part of MVC architecture, and it is used to write server side logic, or we call it as business logic. So if you want to write business logic, we need to use controller annotation at the class level. And one more point is like, if you want to print a message, so you need to use iterate response body annotation must be used separately must be used separately. But in the REST controller, it is response body is combined with the REST controller itself. So on whole, I can say one thing: REST controller is used to build RESTful web services, and it is combined with controller as well as response body. But in controller, it is a part of MVC architecture. The main aim of controller is to write the server-side logic, and if you want to use response body, it should be used separately. So let us all getting into the second demonstration, which is Spring Boot REST controller project. So let me open Eclipse IDE. I think we already created a Spring Boot workspace in the last class. We just discussed how to install Spring tools. We discussed different ways of creating Spring Boot projects, and then we created a demo project also. We just discussed each and every point in that first series, first video previously. Now let me just getting into the second demonstration, which is REST controller versus controller. So it is mainly REST controller. In the next topic, which is third one, I'm just going to show you how to build a backend logic using REST API and with the database. Okay, so I'm opening my Eclipse in Spring Boot workspace. So let me just close all the tabs. Right. So let's create a new project. Go to new. Go to other. Spring Starter project. Right. So the beauty of this Spring Boot project is whenever you just start creating second project, whatever the fields you have given in the previous project will be reflected here. So you can see all the previous values we are just replicating here. So let me just give a proper name: Spring Boot REST controller project. P capital. Type is Marvin. Packaging var or jar. I just mentioned one thing, that Spring Boot is used to build customized web applications. So generally go ahead with var. Var is nothing but web application. Jar is nothing but console application. Java version is 21. Language is Java. com.klib.jfs.spring boot. In short, we call it as CKJS. It's a group ID. Artifact ID is nothing but name of the application. I just discussed every point in my first video. You can check it out. Let me just give Spring Boot REST controller project, and this package will be created as a by default one. Go to next and choose Spring Web because RESTful web services, and the next one is RESTful web services, and it contains some MVC architecture also, and Spring Boot DevTools. These two are enough because DevTools is used to something like you don't need to restart the server for every modification. For that purpose, we use this dependency we discussed in previous video also, right? And there is no database. I'm not going to add any kind of JPA or ORM or MySQL related dependencies. Only two. Next, these values will be passed to start.spring.io, which is a service URL. From this, the project will be created. Click on finish. I just want to focus one point. I already told this. You just need stable internet connection while creating this project. Right. Now, my project is successfully created. So there is no process here. So this is my second project. Now, the first and foremost thing you're supposed to do is like go to Java resources and then src/main/java. Go to this main application. I told one point that from this your execution will be started because this annotation iterate Spring Boot application will take care of whenever you just give this annotation will take care of entire Spring Boot execution and all. Now let me just give a simple message here. Sys out project is running, so that I'll get to know whether my project is running or not without any errors. Right. I just enabled autosave in my first video. It will be in the window preferences. You please check it out. And then the next one is let's go to application.properties. I just want to concentrate on my port number. So this is the application name. You can remove it if you don't want. Like there is no it's not important, like it's just optional only. Server dot port is equal to, let's go ahead with 2024. Okay, you can take any port number, ensure that that port number is not already in use. Right, you can run by using right click on this, run as Spring Boot app, or I just told one point in my last video that you just go to boot dashboard. This is the option. All the Spring Boot projects only will be displayed here, not all the projects, okay? Because there will be some Spring Boot projects, some are normal Maven projects, some are not normal Java projects also. So those projects will not be displayed. Only boot projects only will be displayed. So right click on this, restart. Right. I'm just getting 2024 is already used. So let's go ahead with the another port number. I think some of my I think I still remember why this 2024 is like already in use. Let me check with the localhost colon 2024. If I'm just getting any page, that means this port number is fine then. So in my system, Jenkins is currently running. That's why it is already in use. So let me just go ahead with 2025. Okay. So boot dashboard. Right click on this, restart. Right. Project is running. So now let's just go ahead with. I just want to create a new package. Right click on this package, go to new, choose package, so that the CKJS will be automatically you're getting under dot REST controller. REST controller is my package name. Under this, please create a project called as client controller or client demo, whatever it is, client demo or client controller. Controller is a main file which contains all your routes, right? So that is where your execution will be coming. For example, whenever you give any URL, localhost colon so and so port number / registration, that registration code, it will be there in the controller file or REST controller file. So that's what we are going to discuss in today's class, like what exactly controller versus REST controller. So I'm just taking the name as client demo. Okay. Now, even though my topic is REST controller versus controller, as I'm going to demonstrate REST controller, so let's start with the annotation called as @REST controller, which is at class level. So control space class level. Right? You don't focus on this because I'm typing the code, and while typing the code, the server will be restarted. So you may get errors, you may get output, like anything. You don't concentrate on the console, right? So let's start with the first one. Generally there should be let me just take a method called as public void generally, because I don't know the return type. Okay, let's go ahead with void only, because if I just start with any method, like any kind of task, initially we don't know what is the return type and all. So let's go ahead with void only, and let's take demo 1 or demo. Let's take demo, right? And return. I just want to print a message called as Spring Boot series. So I'm just getting error, so we need to change it to string. This is fine. But when this method should be executed, this method should be executed based on some URI, or we call it as root. So for that purpose, we need to take request mapping. Okay. So request mapping contains several attributes. I need mainly path is equal to /. So request mapping path is equal to / comma. If I don't mention the method name, for example, the by default method will be get. Okay. So even if you just forgot to, or if you intentionally or unintentionally did not mention this method name, the method name is get. So we just talked about 4 methods, right? Get, post, put, delete. So the by default one is get. So let me take get. So this method will be executed whenever I just give / in my URL at the end of the URL. So I'm just getting one kind of a suggestion kind of thing. What is the suggestion? Replace with get mapping. That means request mapping with get is equal to get mapping, and request mapping with post is equal to post mapping. Request mapping with put is equal to put mapping. Request mapping with delete is equal to delete mapping, right? So let's go ahead with syntax. In the next case, we'll try to reduce that syntax. So I'm done. My code is done, and the project is running. I mean, there are no errors in the console also. So without any further delay, so right click on this. You can directly type localhost colon 2025 in the browser, or you can use open browser option, right? Open browser option, right? So we got 2025 Spring Boot series. Perfect then. And the next one, if you want, you can add some kind of HTML tags also if you want, right? Refresh, right? The next one, let's just reduce the syntax now. So what is it? So we can just directly take get mapping, right? So I think I can just get map. So get mapping. There is some kind of a syntax like this, but don't take from the scratch only. So get mapping. So let me just identify get mapping. 1 second. I'll just take 1 second. Get mapping. Right. Get mapping. Let's take path is equal to. Let's take path is equal to something like. I think I've taken slash, right? Let's take slash demo1 because public. Let's go with string only. Demo1. I'm just ensuring that my method name and my URI. This is called as URI, or some people will call it as route or root also, whatever it is. I'm just maintaining the both names are same, but you can take any name for the method and any name for the path also. So return semicolon y22 JFSD course, right? So let's go ahead with the slash demo1. Perfect. Now there are two demos are done. Two demos are done. Right. The next one is like we just reduced the syntax from request mapping with get to get mapping. I'll remove that path also. We'll see what exactly will happen. I don't want to give path, and that slash is also not important actually. So let's go with demo2 directly. Public string demo2 return any message we can give, any message. Let's go ahead with some integer value. Generally I just want to print message like my employee ID 4654. So let's check whether it is going to take or not. Perfect. Okay, so let's take demo2. It is fine, but the thing is like previous browser is something like it's a string format, but when I give integer format, it is the color is changed and it is considering as a JSON. So let's just try to save this page by using Ctrl S, or you just use save page as. So it is taking JavaScript object notation. We call it as JSON. That means what? Generally, as a preferable format, output format is either JSON, JavaScript object notation, or plain text. Plain text is called as what? String. Even though we have provision to print integer, float, double, everything and all, but recommendable format is either JSON, that means object, or string only. Okay, right. So this is fine. And the next part here is like, let's just go to the next part. So get mapping of demo. So we have been seeing different get mappings only now. So we have done with the total 3 demos. The first one is slash demo1 and slash demo2. Now I told one point that so REST controller is equal to controller plus response body. Okay, so let us all remove this and let's change controller. Let's run the slash. The problem we got is like no static resource Spring Boot series, because the problem will be
controller will think that the return type is like of JSP file. We call it as view. Okay, but we are not rendering JSP file here. We are trying to print a message on browser. Here the concept is not rendering any JSP file. We are only printing the message. Like the advantage of REST control is, if you want to print anything, you don't need to use response body separately. But in the controller we need to use. That means we need to use response body separately at the method level. So now if I just refresh this, we got Spring Boot series. But I can give you one kind of easy trick, because these three methods is doing same job. What is the job they are doing? They are printing the message on browser. If the three methods are doing same task, they're printing message on browser, why I just need to use response body at method level individually? I can directly use it class level. So let's use response body directly. So now let's use with a slash. Perfect, we got it. Next, demo 1, we got it. And the next one is demo 2, we got it. That means finally controller plus response body is equal to REST controller. So that is what I'm just going to discuss, right? So let's go ahead with REST controller only. REST controller is used to develop REST API only. That if you want to print message, we can do it. But it is not used to render JSP files and all. JSP files concept will be part of MVC architecture. That is a separate story, okay? So REST control is equal to controller plus response body, right? So let's continue with this. So we have done with the 3 demos. Now the next part. Let us all talk about passing parameter values to the URL. The first one is with parameter names. Second one is without parameter names. What is with parameter name is something like, we'll use demo question mark ID is equal to some 1 2 3. This is slash actually. Or you can use demo question mark ID is equal to, or A is equal to 10. More than one int we have to use 20. This is passing one parameter, this is passing 2 parameters. And if you want to capture those values from the URL, we have to use request param. I repeat once again, request param. But coming to without parameters, we have to use demo slash 1 2 3 if it is one parameter value. And if you want to more than one, then it is like KLU CSC, first value, second value. And for this purpose we have to use path variable. I repeat once again, what is that? Path variable. Path variable. So request param annotation is used to capture the value with parameter name. Path variable annotation is used to capture the value without parameter name. So let us all see these 2 annotations with 1 parameter and 2 parameters. Like that we'll have 4 demos. So get mapping. So let's go ahead with demo 3. Public. I'm not sure about the return type, so I'm just taking void initially. Right. Public void demo 3. You can take different names also, that's up to you. And then I'm just reading ID, EID for example. Give one space here so that existing code will not be removed. Request param. And the parameter name is ID from the URL. You don't need to mention here, you don't mention anything in the path, only without parameter only we need to mention. So ID is my parameter name, that value will be captured in the EID. So I can use directly return EID. So we can print EID here. But as I suggested, even though we can print integer and you can print sometimes double also, that's up to you. And you can print float also, any value we can print. But the thing is like by default it is taking JSON. So my suggestion is like generally as per the suggestion, when you want to deal with this API request and all, the return type is JSON and or string. So I'm just going with string only, but my EID is an integer. So let's print some message like ID is equal to plus EID. Perfect. So now let's execute this. This is demo 3. So if I use demo 3, the problem will be I'm just getting white label error. What is the error we got? Required ID is not present. So for that purpose, question mark. When we use question mark, when you want to mention the parameter name as well as value. And what is the parameter name? I mentioned in the request param of ID. So ID is equal to any integer value. I can't take string value because I'm saving that request param of ID into EID, integer value. So we need to take number only. So let's take like 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got ID is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. This kind of mechanism we can use when you want to delete or when you want to view any record specifically in your project, right? At that moment you can use this kind of concepts, right? Perfect. And the next one, let's go ahead with the let's just go ahead with the another demo. Public, I'm just preferring string only. Demo 4. See, I'm just typing the code, I'm just getting errors in the console also until your code is let me just written null. Now there are no errors, my project is running properly, right? Don't focus on your console. If you're scaring about the getting errors and all, you can stop the server, and once you are done with all the coding, then you can start it. Okay, then let's just go ahead with some kind of addition like int x comma int y. Okay, return x plus y. But the problem here is I just want to save it as a string value, right? Okay, int z is equal to x plus y, and now return integer dot toString of z. Right. Perfect. Now if I just take a demo 4 directly, the problem will be I just got optional unexpected x is y and not there, and they are not able to convert into some integer type, and that means the values are null. We need to mention request param clearly here. So request param of, you can take x also, but I don't want to confuse you. Let's take I. Okay, so I value will be saved in x, and then request param of y. Right, so I value will be saved in x and y value will be saved in y. But here is the problem is unnecessary path variable web annotation name. Okay, so in that case we'll take j, any other variable j. So I value will be saved in x and j value will be saved in y, and x plus y is equal to some value will be saved into chat. Or you guys can directly use integer dot toString of x plus y. Why we need to take two statements? Now let's done. Now here demo 4 question mark, because it's a request param. X is it's not x actually, it is I. So I is equal to -5 ampersand j is equal to -6. So -5 -6 -11. So we have done with the one parameter, we have done with the two parameters. Let's just go ahead with same example with two strings. Get mapping demo 5 public string demo 5 int string f name, string l name, first name, last name. Perfect. Let's just go ahead with request param of, let's take f name. I'll do one thing, I'll change it to x, and then let's get l name. Now let's save it to y. So I'm taking two parameters, one is f name, second one is l name. F name will be saved in x, l name will be saved in y. So now I can say return first f name. I just want to give some space between f name and l name, because first name space last name, or you can take three values, first name, middle name, last name also, l name. Perfect. No. even I too confused, my bad, so sorry. Fname value will be saved in x, so we need to take x here, and lname value will be saved in y, so we need to take y, so x plus y. Right, then now let's just go to demo 5. Directly giving demo 5 will give you error, so fname is not present. Now we have to take question mark, fname is equal to Surya, and lname is equal to Kiran, Surya Kiran. Now I just want to change something like this. Let's change it to 2 uppercase, so that whenever you give any kind of value, it will be converted to 2 uppercase. Otherwise, if you are confusing, you just save it into separate variable also. Let me refresh. Right. Perfect then. So we have seen with the 1 parameter, we have seen with the 2 parameters, we have seen with the 2 parameters with string also. Same example we'll see with the path variable. Right. So what I'll do exactly? Let me just copy this, because I'm just comparing the code. Let me take demo 4. Here don't take like this. In the path we need to mention. Okay. So I'm just taking a value. That value will be saved in which variable? The value. It's not a parameter name. We call it as variable ID. You can't concat or you can't add ID like this, because if you add like this, the problem will be this will be considered as a path, demo4/id. This is not a path. This is not part of the path. This is what? A variable value. So this should be considered as curly brace. So this curly brace ID contains your value that is going to be given in the URL. So that should be captured by using path variable. So you have taken ID here, right? So you must give ID here. ID. So that ID will be saved in EID, right? So but in the request param, you're directly going to mention the URL as a path parameter name. Here this is called as a value. Now let me show you execution now. So I think this is 3, 4, 5 it is done. I think it is 6. Sorry, 6. So let's go to demo 6. So you're getting no static resource demos. I mean, it's just considering it as some kind of resource. It's not a resource actually. I mean, demo 6 is not there. Demo 6 with value is there, right? So slash, I told in the notepad, right? So it is slash. So slash, whatever the value you're going to give here, that will be captured in the EID. So slash we need to give 1, 2, 3, 4. So ID is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. So this will be considered as this slash 1, 2, 3, 4 will be considered as curly brace ID. If you take just ID, it will think that see, it will think that this is a kind of URL, but 1, 2, 3, 4 is not part of URL, right? It is like, it is a parameter value. So let's just refresh this. Perfect. Now let's do the same example with 2 parameters. We'll go ahead with this example directly. Demo 7. So now there are 2 parameters, right? So let's remove everything so that you will not be confused with this changes. Here curly brace fname, because it's a string value. I mean, it's the first value basically. Second one is lname. So first name and last name, 2 parameters. @path variable. So we just need to take fname. And the next one is we need to save lname in the y value, right? So previous example we have seen 1 parameter without parameter name. Now we are taking 2 parameters. Okay. Now let's just go with demo 7. It's not just demo 7 actually, it is demo 7 with slash. The first name is Surya and the last name is Kiran. Surya Kiran. So there are totally 7 demos we have done. First 3 demos are letting you know how to print a message with 3 different ways. Request mapping with just a method, get mapping directly with the path. Third one, get mapping without path. If I don't mention method also, by default it will be considered as get method. I'll just give you one justification for that. If I use a control in my keyboard and press on this get mapping definition, it is showing that request mapping with method get is equal to get mapping. Okay, that's why by default method is get mapping. And now then we have seen how to print an integer message. We can print double message, we can print float message, anything, but recommendable is JSON object or plain text. And we have seen a concept called as how to pass parameters to URL. 2 things, request param and path param. I have shown you with 1 parameter and 2 parameters. And then same without parameter, I have shown you 1 parameter and 2 parameters. So with this, you got to know how to print message on browser using REST controller and how to deal with the different mappings. As of now, we have done only get mapping. Remaining 3 tasks are like add, delete, update. We can see them in the next RESTful web services with the JPA, which is a database. Okay, we call it as ORM, object relational mapping. So in the next video, we are going to see that how to integrate REST API with the database. So before going to digging into that topic, in this topic only, I'm just going to show you how to test a simple view task and add task in the Postman by using some local variable mechanism. Okay, not just directly database, a local variable mechanism, so that you'll get to know how exactly we can use Postman API or any kind of API testing tools like Thunder Client or any other tools. Okay, so for that purpose, what I'm just going to do is like, we need to create a local variable. Before going to create a local variable, I just want you to create a new class under the same package. The package name is, for example, let me take customer. It's just a Pojo class. Pojo class means it contains setter methods, getter methods, and properties. Private int ID, private string name, private string gender. Let's just generate after gender, right? So I just generated all the getter and setter methods. Now my Pojo class is ready in the same package. Let's create a collection. So my collection I'm just going to take is like list. Now list customers, the list name is customers, is equal to new array list of instead of null, generally people will mention the size. Initially the size is 0, so just a customer. Okay, now it is showing one suggestion that please replace with get mapping. You can just so like this, but I don't want to, because I just want you to know what is the exact definition first, and then we reduce the syntax. Okay, that's why I've shown you 3 to 4 different ways, right? So we just declared one collection, which is a customers collection. Perfect. Then now let's just come here and I'll show you how to add customer into customers list. So for that purpose, generally people will go with post mapping. Post mapping is used to add the data. Post. Now let me add customer. Public. I'll go with void initially, generally void, and then add customer. Generally, whenever you want to add any customer, we need ID, name, gender. So you can't you can't just write like this id comma name comma gender. You just need to take an object. So customer object, customer C, or customer. Now where we have to add, we need to add into list. What is the list name? Customers is the list name dot add of customer. Perfect, we added. After adding, I just want to print a message called as customer added successfully, not to the database, to the what, to what we call to the list. We just need to change the return type to string. Perfect. Then I just want to highlight one point here. The point here is like, I told one point that whenever I just want to send input from client to server, I need to use request body, and whenever server want to send the response to the client, they'll use response body, that is output. So whenever client want to send the input, generally JSON object to the server, we need to mention request body, so that by using that annotation, server will know that client is going to send the data to the server. Okay, so we need to use request body. Otherwise server will not bother about what exactly client is going to send. So this annotation will tell the server that client is going to send something from the client end. Okay, request body. Now everything is perfect. My root is, or my URI is add customer. I'm just sending input as customer. I'm adding into the list. I'm printing some messages. Perfect. Now let us all see view all customers. Generally view is nothing but get mapping. So view all customers, public. Let's just go ahead with void. We'll see what exactly the return type is. I just want to view all the customers. That means I need to print a list directly. So there is no input now. So I just want to return the exact list directly, customers. So customers is a type what? List. So we need to change the return type to list of customer. Perfect. So this is add customer, this is view customer. You know something, whenever you just want to view customers, first we need to add, otherwise you will get empty array. And if you stop this server, if you close this Eclipse, if you open again, if I view the list, there will be no data in that, because this data is not going to save in the database. It is going to save in the local variable only. So that data will be preserved only when you are just running the project on the server. If you stop the server, the data will be removed, right? So you can't preserve the data like for a long time. It will be there only when your server is running, right? Perfect. So these two are very important, add customer and view all customers. So let us all check in the Postman API tool. Sir, as of now you are checking everything in the browser. Why you are telling Postman? Because in browser we can only check get mapping only. We can't check the what we call post mapping. Let me just go with view all add student once. You're getting, sorry, not add student, add customer. Get is not supported, so in the browser. So either we need to add the extension in the browser, or we need to check in the separate a tool, Postman API tool. Let's just check the view all customers. So we didn't get any data actually. If I just click on save JSON data, but there is no data here. So let's just install Postman. How to install Postman? So please type Postman API in the Google, or you can install this extension in the Visual Studio Code also. So Postman API. One second. Download Postman. So Windows 64, or you can use for the Mac purpose also. Windows and Mac both are there. So let me just open Postman API in my laptop. I already installed. I'll keep this link in the video description. While opening the Postman also you need internet connection. Right. Perfect. Initially this is not the screen. I'm just closing all the tabs. I don't want to confuse you. Don't save. Right. So after the installing Postman, you'll be asked to log in or sign, like creating new account. So you just create a new account actually. After creating new account, you'll be just landing into a page called as My Workspace. Okay. So otherwise you can create a new workspace also. So like this My Workspace will be there, or you can create a new workspace where you can do collaborative access also if you want. So I'm just going to click on my workspace only. So this is the workspace actually. This is what you're going to have as the initial screen. And then what you're supposed to do is like, so we just need to click on new here, and there are different types of requests we have. Go with HTTP request. I already told client will send HTTP request, and as per our code the type of the request is post. So please click on post here, and the URL is, you already know, up to like you can just copy paste this URL, not a complete URL, up to 2025. Otherwise if you want you can type manually also. Like I don't want to type because some mistakes will be there. Ensure that while testing every API request in this tool your project must be running, otherwise you'll get could not reach or could not connect to the server. Right. If you want you can remove this HTTP also. Now what is the URI add customer? I don't want to type actually, because if I type there will be mistakes. Add customers. I can't directly send the data, right? Because the problem will be we just need to add the, if I just click on send for example, the problem will be require request body. Yeah, require request body. So we clearly mention request body is there. That means client need to send some input. That's why it is showing exception. So for that, go to body, go to raw, choose JSON. Now how to mention the JSON? So now curly brace. You already know what properties we are going to have in the customer: ID, name, gender. So please mention that. All the keys should be in double quotes. First let's complete the keys actually. Let's complete the keys first of all. Right. And until you just write a correct syntax, it will show errors. ID is a number, so don't include in double quotes. 101, comma. Name is a string, put it in double quotes. KLU. Gender is female, string, double quotes. So this is a whole syntax. Key value pair. JSON is nothing but key value pair. So I can say JSON is a dictionary format basically. It's a key value pair. Now, so now I just given the type of request, and I just given the URL here, and then provided the JSON data also. Now click on send now. So once I just click on the send, I got customer added successfully. Perfect. So let us all do one thing. Let us all add same. Now if I just click on send, for example, for the second time, am I going to get any error stating that 101 is already there? Never ever, because we are not going to save this record in the database, right? You can click on send either way, but generally let me change into second value 102. Let me give Surya, and gender is male. Click on send. My second record also got added. And now let me go to second request. So second request is get mapping. So take get mapping, and I think I can just copy paste this, Control V, view all customers. Sir, why we need to take separate tab? Can I execute here? Yes, you can. You change this post to get, you change this add customer to view all customers and click on send. Even though this data is like this JSON data, it will not consider. because request body is not there in the input, right? When this box will be considered this JSON body when you mention request body only, otherwise it will not consider, right? Now click on send. So we got JSON array because there are two objects, first object, second object, 0 index, 1 index. You can check this in your browser also. Control V. So we got two records, and the type of the format is, and the format type is JSON file, and you can check in the Mozilla Firefox also. Control V, like this. Perfect. Let us all do one thing. Let me just do some kind of some modification, because let me just restart, because till now I didn't change my code, so my server is not restarted. Okay, think that my server is restarted. How? Let me just do some dot here. So now my server is got restarted. Okay, now let me check view all. Now I got empty array because we are not preserving the data permanently in the database. We are only preserving the data in the local variable. So whenever you start executing the code from the beginning, everything will be deleted. Okay, so now you need to add the data again. So let's just click on this send, one record will be there. Now click on view all customers, right? So on a whole, I can say in this topic, in second topic of Spring Boot series, we just got to know what exactly controller is, what exactly REST controller is, and what exactly response body is, and what exactly request body is. So there are mainly four annotations we discussed. Controller is used to, it is part of MVC architecture, and we can write business logic or server-side logic where response body must be used separately. REST control is equal to controller plus response body, and request body is used for the input. Generally, what is the input? JSON. And generally, what is the output? Either JSON or string. So string, where you just mentioned JSON output in the view all customers, this is called as object. Object is of type JSON only. Apart from that, we used request mapping with get, request mapping with post, request mapping with delete, request mapping with put, delete, get, post, right? So at the end of, and apart from this, we got to know two more annotations. One is request param and path variable. So on a whole, at the end of this demo, I can say I've just shown you how to write the different API requests, and I've just shown you how to test a simple API request like add customer and view all customers using Postman API. So that in the third topic, where it is very, very important in the Spring Boot, which is a topic 3. The topic 3 is how to develop RESTful web services using Spring Boot. We can say RESTful web services, or we can simply call it as REST API as a set with under JPA, Java Persistence API. So that I'm just going to use MySQL database. So please be ready with MySQL database for the next demo. See you all in the next topic. Thank you so much.